Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to look at some of the more advanced techniques that more experienced MTPredictors users can do with the software. When you first come into the software you'll be just looking at your automatic setups, and as you can see on the ES they didn't do anything special yesterday, which was, if I put the session breaks on, which was the 8th of August. So let's have a look what you can do with a bit more advanced techniques. Well, first and foremost, we look at the higher time frame charts and put our decision points, support and resistance zones on. So before the market even opened yesterday, you'd have had a DP from this last swing going down here. See, there was a pivot low there, so you'd come back to this last pivot high here. You'd have put a decision point on your chart there, and that would have been on the chart before yesterday even opened. And look what happened. The ES gapped up, went straight into that decision point resistance area before declining sharply. You'd have actually had another DP area on from here, and we didn't quite get down to that area, but I'll have a look how that looks on the 15-minute chart in a moment. On the YM, same kind of thing. There's the last swing into the low. You'd have had a decision point zone on the chart. Again, remember, these are on the chart in advance. They're leading indicators, so before the market even opened you knew that this was an area of resistance. Here's the last swing into this high, so once this high was completed and the market started to decline, you could have placed a DP on from that low, and look what happened. The market came down, and as you can see, the reversal for the YM was right at this decision point level. Now, isn't that a great thing to have on your charts in advance? Have an area that actually nailed the low of the day before it even got there. That's the true power of this software, particularly when you have leading indicators like this on the chart already for you. So let's have a look in a bit more detail. So on the ES, I'm just going to go down to a 3-minute chart and see what that looks like. And as you can see, there's our 15-minute decision point where the market gapped up into it, made a high absolutely beautifully, and then declined sharply. We didn't quite reach the 15-minute DP support, so I'll just take that off for a moment. But another area we look at, and I talked about this a lot in our training webinar on Wednesday, was the last swing into the high or low. So here's the high, here's the last swing into this high. So you come back to this pivot low here, right mouse click, put the decision point on. Again, I cannot stress enough that these levels are on your chart in advance before the market even gets there. And look what happened. The ES came down. This now the very low of the day before the market rallied sharply. So here we are with our DP levels. Again, these are leading indicators that nailed the high of the day pretty much and nailed the low of the day on the ES for you. I mean, this is the power of the software to have these levels there ready for you. If you're more experienced, you could have looked at the decline coming down to this low. If I right mouse click here, do Elliott Wave minor. This is another tool we have in the software for the more experienced users. We can see that this decline actually unfolded in an absolutely perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the low not only in this decision point support, but pretty much at the typical wave 5 WPT. So again, confirmation that this was going to be the low here and we were going to get a sharp rally, which is exactly what unfolded. If I look at the YM, and I now come down to the 3-minute chart, you can see here pretty much similar position to the ES. The high here was just above this decision point support. We came down, here was the last swing. We came down through that, and that actually came onto our 15-minute support. So we came through this first minor support level down to the 15-minute large degree support. If I right mouse click, do Elliott Wave minor again, you can see exactly the same situation as we had with the ES. A perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline. This time the low was right at the typical wave 5 WPT at 15-minute support. So if I was to look at these two different markets, I'd give the 15-minute support zones a bit more higher weight than I would on the 3-minute support zones. So in other words, this would allow us to capture this high here absolutely perfectly on the ES. As the market declined, if I was choosing between the ES and the YM, I'd suggest the YM was the slightly better one to catch the low because of the larger degree support zone, i.e. the 15-minute support zone rather than the 3-minute. So let's move over to this. So as you can see, this caught the very low of the day for you. How could you have taken a trade off this? Well, a couple of things you could have done. First and foremost, if you wanted to take a trade here, you can also see there was a high volume VSA spike at that low there as well, but I won't go into detail on that in this particular webinar. The trade target for this would have been going back to this high, place the decision point off this high, that would be your target. You can then place a manual risk reward very easily by a couple of clicks, 1, 2, 3, and this was a potential 10R trade. Now the market didn't get there. If I drag the profit down to, or the profit target down to where we got to on the close, even on the close, if you'd held it all day, you'd have still had a plus 4.5R profit. Or if you wanted to, as the STF was getting strong, you could have trailed with our ATR stop, then been stopped out around about there somewhere for a nice 6R profit. You know, the choice was yours on how you managed it. But either way, what a great position to be in, to be able to take a long trade right off the very low of the day there. But the point being is that this wasn't a reaction mode kind of thing. This 15-minute DP support zone was on the chart there in advance before the market even got there, so you were ready for this. You were there ready for it and prepared for it. The confirmation of the 5-wave decline down there was just an added bonus that helped confirm that. So there you go. This is hopefully a good example to show you the power of the more advanced tools in the MTPredictor software program. Remember, MTPredictor is not just these automatic setups. This is only a very small part of the software. The true power of the software is when you go to the higher time frame and you start putting these higher time frame supports on. You then see how they combine with the minor pattern on the shorter time frame charts. So I say to you, users, how important would it be to you to have a resistance zone on the ES on the chart before the market even opened that nailed the very high of the day? As the market declined, to then project another zone out there that gave you support that again nailed the absolutely low of the day. On the YM, exactly the same thing. Here's your 15-minute support zone. This was on the chart before the market even got there. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the more advanced tools in the software, and this is why we do training webinars on these, to show you how to do these. And I just hope that when people take a look at the MTPredictor software program, you don't just look at the automatic setups, you then look at the tools we have that will take you way beyond the automatic setups. And once you get used to these are some very powerful tools which, as you've seen here, allowed you to catch not only the high of the day on the ES but also the low of the day on the ES, and more importantly the low of the day on the YM, that would have had a lovely long trade off the low to capture a very good potential profit there.